Tate drops Holly's stuff off at the mansion, and, predictably, the moment no one's home sparks instant chemistry. They dive into the bedroom, but just as things are heating up, Tate suddenly halts everything, clearly upset. "It's not working for me!" And yes, we all know exactly what it is. "Of course," Holly fires back, and a full-blown argument erupts. But Tate pulls back, apologizing mid-fight, and the reason quickly comes to light. He started taking the skin supplements. Something very weird is going on. Understatement of the year. Meanwhile, Ari offers to grab breakfast for Liam at the cafeteria. He's all smiles while she's gone, but the moment she leaves, he's on the phone with EJ, following orders to track Klaus, the man EJ has been obsessing over. Just as he's making the call, Gabi storms up, demanding entry, sock or no sock. Liam opens the door to, "Who the hell are you?" Quick on his feet, he invents a name and claims he's Ari's classmate. Gabi, of course, quips about him looking a little old for college. TV logic, people. Ari returns and backs up his story, and surprisingly, Gabi drops off some dresses, apologizes, and leaves, mysteriously understanding that maybe the two were hooking up. Later, Ari helps Liam settle down. They share breakfast, and the conversation veers into Bonnie's manuscript. Ari's read it for work, and it's uncomfortably close to Stephanie's book. Plagiarism close. Yikes. Over at another corner of Salem, Rachel gives Brady the green light to visit Sarah. She's finally okay with their closeness. "You are?" Brady asks, and Rachel admits Sarah is better than any of his past relationships, and she's not the old me anymore. It's a new Rachel, full of maturity and compassion, which Brady notices, especially considering her homicidal streak. Philip's office is a different kind of chaos. Xander bursts in while Philip is reeling from news of Vivian's death. Shocked and confused, Philip is struggling with his feelings, hating Vivian, yet missing her in her own twisted way. Xander gets it, especially with his own complicated, borderline murderous family history. Gabi drops in too, and surprisingly, she shares Philip's conflicted emotions. She doesn't blame Vivian for her divorce from Stefan. Theirs was always messy. Philip and Gabi, meanwhile, they haven't fought in 6 months. Progress, people. Maggie visits the hospital, catching up with her girls. Sarah confesses she's still thinking about custody with Xander. The spark between them will never truly die, but she knows she can move on, and maybe even find love without homicidal tendencies. Brady fits that bill, sort of. Sarah insists she's not ready for anything serious, even though she clearly likes him. Then Brady walks in, promptly followed by Xander. Brady hands Sarah a card for Victoria, thanks to Rachel's handiwork, and Maggie drags Xander away before he can make a snide comment. As Sarah thanks Brady, she gets Holly's blood work from her doctor, and calls her niece immediately. There are antipsychotic drugs in her system. Tate connects the dots fast. Rachel's been taking antipsychotics that look identical to the skin supplements. Mind blown. Meanwhile, Liam digs into the manuscript pages Ari focused on, but struggles to see the similarities. Ari doubts herself. Then the bomb drops. Johnny is her boss, and she's kind of a dimera, related to the family. Salem's tangled web never fails to impress. Back with Philip, he thanks Gabi for being there. "Just a few of the reasons I love you," he says. She's stunned, but happily returns the sentiment. Finally, Holly and Tate rush to Sarah with the supplement bottle as Brady catches up. Their theory? Rachel's been switching them. Brady's horror is palpable. And just like that, Salem's latest web of deception thickens. Goodbyes are never easy, especially the ones you think you're ready for. Technically, Marissa Reyes left Days of Our Lives months ago due to the show's shooting schedule. But for me, it only really hits now that her final episode as Ari is airing this Thursday, March 26th. And let me tell you, it's a farewell that doesn't hold back. Marissa took to Instagram to share clips from her rap day, writing, "In honor of my final episode of Days of Our Lives airing this week." She reflected on her time with the show, saying, "It has been an absolute honor to be a part of such a legacy, and I am overwhelmed with gratitude for what this opportunity has taught and given me. Although it was my choice, and mine alone, To make my exit from the show, I will always look back on this chapter with complete and honest gratitude and affection. She wrapped up her heartfelt message with, "It's bittersweet to see the end of this chapter, but I am over the moon excited to welcome in the next. Here's to what's coming!" And honestly, I can feel her excitement radiating through every word. The love from her former castmates poured in immediately. While things between Holly and Ari might be tense on screen, off-screen Ashley Puzemis wrote, "My soul sister for life now. The best thing this show brought me was our friendship, and you truly are a star. Cheering you on for everything that will come your way." Even with Ari and Liam's storyline just starting, Hank Northrup added, "You bring sunshine into every room, and it was an absolute privilege and joy to work with you. I already know you're a superstar, but I can't wait to see what the future holds for you. Ari plus Liam." And of course, Aussie. No Soap Farewell would be complete without a note from Gis Mom. Cherie Jimenez told her TV daughter, "My beauty, my soulmate, I love you forever." I mean, cue all the happy tears. We don't yet know who will step into Ari's shoes, but we do know that her episodes begin airing in April, just a week away. I, for one, can't wait to see what Marissa does next. And I have a feeling whatever it is, it's going to be brilliant. I was thinking about Carson Boatman and his next move, and it seems like he might be ready to try his luck on ABC's General Hospital. To me, it makes perfect sense. He's not the First Days of Our Lives alum to make the jump from Salem to Port Charles, and probably won't be the last if the right role comes along. Carson wrapped up his time as Johnny DiMera, the son of E.J. DiMera and Sammy Brady, earlier this year. He was one of 4 cast members let go, but fans can still catch him on the Peacock streaming service through the end of 2026 or early 2027. During a stop with the Day Players Band in New Jersey, he shared some thoughts about leaving DOOL and what's next for him. For those who don't know, the Day Players Tour features Carson alongside Scott Reeves, Brandon Barish, and Eric Martsolf, and they're hitting the East Coast this April and May. Right now, Carson seems focused on his music career, especially after releasing his latest single, Wild Thing. But he also hinted that another soap role isn't off the table. "I would love to make a leap to GH as well," he said. "I'm completely open to experiencing life in Port Charles." And honestly, why not? He's a talented actor, singer, and songwriter. General Hospital would be lucky to have him. This isn't a new phenomenon either. Over the years, many actors have moved between Salem and Port Charles. Scott Reeves and Brandon Barash are currently out of Soapland, but Wally Kurth manages to juggle both worlds, playing Ned Quartermain on GH while still filming Justin Kyriakis on DOOL. Wes Ramsey, Steve Burton, Tamara Braun, Denise Alexander, Stephen Nichols, Mary Beth Evans, Theo Pingus, and Charles Shaughnessy have all hopped between the two shows at various points. There's definitely a history here, and it's fascinating to see. DOOL and GH have some striking similarities. Both cities' hospitals are major employers, both have iconic families at the center of drama, and of course, mad scientists and shocking returns from the dead. Theo Pingus and Charles Shaughnessy went from Daimeras to GH's Cassadines seamlessly, and Wally Kurth's Kyriakis clan in Salem mirrors the Quartermains in Port Charles. So watching Carson's career path, I can't help but wonder, will he make the leap? Given how smoothly other actors have transitioned in the past, I'd say it's not just possible, it feels almost inevitable. To me, seeing him bring his energy from Salem to Port Charles would be exciting, and I wouldn't be surprised if we hear about his GH casting sooner rather than later. Days of Our Lives, March 25th. Spoilers, Marlena stumbles, EJ schemes, and soap drama unfolds. I think Marlena is about to uncover something huge, again. Wednesday's episode kicks off with Sarah blaming EJ for everything that's going wrong at University Hospital. And yes, she's conveniently ignoring the fact that it was a mess long before EJ walked in. Classic Sarah, right? Meanwhile, Marlena is doing what she does best, snooping. Let's be real, she's Dr. Marlena Evans. She belongs everywhere. She can go anywhere. No one tells Marlena no. So of course, she stumbles onto EJ's biggest secret, And no, not that one either, the other one. I was sitting there thinking, oh boy, this is going to be a masterclass in Demira maneuvering. Watch him try to wiggle his way out of this. It's almost impressive how slick he can be. Over at the courthouse, Rachel is sweating bullets about testifying at the hearing, deciding her fate after confessing she shot EJ. Kristen, of course, has her signature advice ready. Lie like a true Demira. Apparently, it's in the blood. She warns Rachel not to let any of that goody-goody black DNA dilute her instincts. I can't help but think, yikes, but effective. On the romantic front, Ari and Liam just hit a major soap milestone. Liam gets shot, Ari patches him up. Honestly, that's practically the prerequisite for every budding daytime romance. Next step? Probably going on the run together. Liam's been cautious, warning Ari to stay away, but she comes bearing news that might just render his fears irrelevant. I'm intrigued to see how that plays out. Then there's the Gwen-Leo-Dimitri triangle, which is as messy as ever. Gwen still hates Leo. Leo still feels guilty, but Dimitri's convinced him that Gwen orchestrated his kidnapping. So now, guilt is taking a backseat to anger. Leo thinks he's being clever with his quips. Gwen responds with pure snark. He tries again, still fails. It's almost tragic, watching him think he's brilliant when Gwen is just effortlessly untouchable. To me, the takeaway is this. Chaos reigns, secrets are exposed, and the Demiras continue to dance their slippery, scheming dance. Wednesday promises tension, drama, and just enough humor to keep us glued to the screen. Marlena's discovery alone is worth the watch, and I wouldn't be surprised if it shakes everything up in Salem. Ari's storyline on Days of Our Lives hasn't exactly been taking it easy lately. With Holly out of their dorm room, she's settled into a more intimate rhythm with Liam, patching him up after a violent encounter with Klaus. But as always, calm is in short supply. Liam's life is a storm, and he's feeding Ari half-truths and cryptic warnings to stay away, which, of course, only pulls her closer. Off-screen, though, Marissa Reyes is looking ahead. Based on what she shared, she's leaving with clarity, excitement, and a full heart. On Instagram, Reyes posted, "In honor of my final episode of At Days Peacock airing this week, I thought that I'd share some memories from my rap day. Here's to what's coming." The post reads more like a scrapbook than a farewell, full of black and white clips capturing her last moments on set. We see her dancing around the dorm set, a still shot of her dressing room with her name on the door, and candid moments with castmates. There's a clip of her and Ashley Puzemis laughing uncontrollably, a snapshot with Cherie Jimenez and the makeup team, and more dancing, hairdos, and silly mirror faces. She even twirls down the hallways with Hank Northrup before capping everything off with a still of the quiet Warner Brothers gatehouse, stamped with the playful, "That's all, folks," a nod that feels equal parts charming and chaotic, like Looney Tunes physics in human form. The cast chimed in with their mix of love and playful chaos. Louis Tomeo left the wonderfully cryptic, Jarvis run the dead wife montage, while Abigail Klein went simple but heartfelt. "Forever smitten with you." Cherie Jimenez, who plays Ari's on-screen mom Gabi, wrote, "My beauty, my soulmate, I love you forever." And Dan Feuereagle kept it short and fiery with, "Fans poured in too, creating a thread that felt like a long, never-ending goodbye." Comments ranged from, "You were an amazing Ari, so sad to see you go, but I'm sure your future is bright," to "Enjoy your many chapters. You are a bright young star with so much more to do and create." Some were blunt, "End of an era hype to see what's next," and one simply summed it up, "Ari's leaving." What makes this goodbye different is that it was Reyes' choice. There's no sense of being pushed out or written off prematurely. Her farewell isn't about closing the door, it's about moving forward. The videos show someone who enjoyed every chaotic, heartfelt moment. The comments reflect genuine connection, and the message itself is forward-looking. Whatever comes next, she's already in motion. Hank Northrup, the latest star on Days of Our Lives, has been hiding a pretty exciting secret, and he can finally share it. While daytime drama runs in his blood, his late father was Days legend Wayne Northrup, and his mother is General Hospital icon Lynn Herring. Hank recently ventured into a very different universe. He made a guest appearance on Taylor Sheridan's new Paramount Plus series, The Madison, which stars Michelle Pfeiffer, Kurt Russell, Matthew Fox, and Patrick J. Adams. While Hank isn't in every episode, he shines in episode 6, the season finale. During an interview with The Locker Room, he teased his role and clarified that The Madison isn't a Yellowstone spin-off like Rip and Beth. Taylor Sheridan is a genius. He's got so many spin-offs happening. This one is about a suburban New York family who experiences a tragedy and has to relocate to rural Montana, Yellowstone style. It's all about that family's story, Hank shared. Hank was full of praise for The Madison, especially its powerhouse cast. And once his episode premiered on Paramount Plus, he took to Instagram to make it official, careful not to spoil anything. "I'm so honored to officially enter the Taylor Sheridan universe today," he wrote, guiding fans to the episode where he appears and thanking the show's creators for letting him be a small part of such an amazing show. Meanwhile, back on Days of Our Lives, Hank's storyline as Liam is heating up. Ari and Liam are growing closer after she helped him survive an attempt on his life by Klaus. At the same time, Liam finds himself in an uneasy partnership with EJ after the latter discovered Liam's role in the Dimira kidnappings. For me, it's fascinating to see Hank stepping into a completely different world with the Madison, while his Days storylines continue to intensify. I didn't realize how seamlessly he could move between the intense family drama of daytime TV and the cinematic tension of Sheridan's universe. It's like watching a secret career upgrade unfold in real time. On the March 24th episode of Days of Our Lives, Liam admitted to Ari that he keeps losing track of how everyone in Salem is connected. And honestly, he doesn't even know the half of it. Ari tried to break it down. She's connected to the Damaras because her dad, Will's mom Sammy, was married to EJ and is the mother of Johnny and Sydney. So technically, Ari is working for her Uncle Johnny, but she's not actually a Damara herself. But it gets even messier. Ari could have mentioned that her mom, Gabi, was married to Stefan, a late-in-life Damara. And really, almost anyone in Salem can trace their family trees in at least 3 different directions. Take Julie, for example. She's Hope's stepmother thanks to her marriage to Doug, but she's also Hope's older sister via Doug's marriage to Hope's mom, Addie. Salem genealogy is basically a puzzle with a million pieces, and half of them are missing. Meanwhile, Liam is talking like it's just him and his mom, definitely not counting his son Gage. But it makes you wonder, how long before we discover that Liam himself is tied to a core Salem family? Chad had a similar "I'm just a regular guy" backstory, and surprise, he turned out to be a Damara. Could Liam be on the same path? And is that why he got so nervous about possibly being related to Ari? It's classic Salem paranoia. Family trees here are more like tangled vines than anything else. I've been thinking about Xander Kyriakis on Days of Our Lives, and it seems like he's using Gwen von Leuschner to fill the void Sarah Horton left in his life. But for how long? Part of him will always love Sarah, but honestly, it feels like he's given up trying to be good enough for her. To me, Xander seems convinced he'll never measure up to Sarah's expectations, so he's choosing to live in the moment with Gwen and just have some fun. That said, Xander and Gwen have history, so this casual fling could easily evolve into something more serious. Even if they try to keep things light, I can't imagine Xander won't get a little jealous if Gwen sleeps with someone else, especially if that someone is his own brother. Case in point. In the March 17th episode, Philip Kyriakis caught Gwen off guard in the town square, causing her to spill her drink. The whole scene was hilarious and tense at the same time, with Gwen demanding a replacement drink and trying to shoo Philip away. Honestly, it felt like the perfect setup for Philip and Gwen to eventually spark something romantic. I'm starting to wonder if the writers are leaning into an enemies to lovers storyline here. It wouldn't surprise me if Philip ends up leaning on Gwen after his relationship with Gabi collapses, especially with all the secrets Gabi is keeping about helping Tony Damara sabotage the Titan-Damara merger. And if Gwen feels like Xander will never truly move past Sarah, she might lean on Philip too. And you know what usually happens next. If Philip and Gwen do get tangled up, Xander is going to lose it. This could reignite the brothers' rivalry in a big way, and I'm curious how far the show will push it. Honestly, the tension here is exactly why I can't stop thinking about what's next on Days. Days of Our Lives, March 24th. Spoilers: drama, blessings, and family tensions in Salem. I was really intrigued by what's coming up on Days of Our Lives this Tuesday, March 24th, because Salem is about to get messy in the most classic soap opera way. To me, one of the biggest surprises is Rachel Black giving Brady Black her blessing in his love life. I didn't expect that. I mean, Rachel has never been the biggest fan of any of Brady's girlfriends, so seeing her shift gears like this, could this be about him dating Sarah? If it is, it feels like a bold move, and I'm curious how Kristen DiMera will react, given her usual protective instincts over her daughter. Meanwhile, Sarah Horton is in that all-too-familiar soap dilemma: unresolved feelings. She opens up to Maggie Kyriakis about Xander Kyriakis, and honestly, I can see why she's conflicted. Xander has been sketchy at times, yes, but he's also a devoted father to Victoria Kyriakis. With little Victoria recently hospitalized and Xander standing by her, I'm wondering if Sarah will soften on visitation. Could she start letting him back into their daughter's life? To me, that's a plot twist worth watching. On the Kyriakis front, Philip Kyriakis seems to be carrying some family stress, leaning on Gabi Hernandez for support. I always find their dynamic interesting. There's something comforting, yet unpredictable about it. And then there's Tate Black. Poor guy is struggling to connect with Holly Jonas after taking the wrong supplements. Apparently, Holly gave him what was supposed to be a gift from Rachel, but it turns out they were actually mental health meds from Sophia Schwarz. I'm not sure if this will lead to intimacy problems, unexpected anger, or just more classic soap confusion, but it's definitely going to shake things up. So, Tuesday's episode looks like it's packed. Unexpected blessings, complicated feelings, family tensions, and medical mishaps. I think the interplay between old relationships and new dynamics is going to keep Salem fans glued to their screens. If you're like me, you're probably counting down the hours to see how Rachel's blessing lands, whether Sarah reconsiders Xander, and what chaos Tate might accidentally unleash. Salem never disappoints when it comes to drama, and this week is a perfect example. I was wondering about Ari's latest revelation on her DiMera internship, specifically that manuscript she's been reading. To me, it sounded a little too familiar, almost like she was reading someone else's work. And with Johnny as her supervisor, the same guy who greenlit Bonnie's book for publication, I started thinking, did Mrs. Kyriakis accidentally, or maybe sneakily, cheat on her homework? Here's the thing. Bonnie did write an autobiography during that 6-year time jump, but fiction? That was totally new territory for her. Maybe she revisited Stephanie's book for inspiration and didn't even realize she was echoing the same lines. Or here's a wild theory. Maybe she leaned on AI to whip up her novel, which would explain how it was publication-ready so fast. Then there's Ari having Liam read a few pages to see if she was off her rocker. I didn't realize Liam is still learning to read through his court-mandated adult literacy program, which makes this scene even funnier. He didn't want Ari to know, so he deduced the book was a romance novel and casually said they all sounded the same. Ari, of course, took that as a perfectly logical explanation and is now ready to approve the book for publication without mentioning any concerns to Johnny. To me, that feels like a disaster just waiting to happen. I can already see the fallout when Xander, Alex, and Philip realize DiMera Enterprises just published a book eerily similar to One Stormy Night. Lawsuits, drama, and chaos? Yes, please, let the games begin. Days of Our Lives, March 25th, 2026. Marlena faces a difficult choice. I was thinking about Marlena this week, and honestly, it feels like she's walking a tightrope. She thought she was doing the right thing months ago when she let Kristen go to jail for shooting EJ, even though we all know it was Rachel who actually pulled the trigger. Kristen begged her to keep it from Brady, and Marlena obliged, carrying that secret for what seems like forever. Now, the scales are tipping again. Rachel is finally facing the court to tell the truth, and Marlena can't shake the feeling that something is off with her. There was that moment last week when Rachel pinched Marlena. She had an excuse, sure, but it still left Marlena unsettled. On Wednesday, Marlena is set to make a chilling discovery. Could it be that Rachel's behavior isn't just teenage rebellion, but something more concerning? Maybe she hears that Holly and Tate suspect Rachel switched out Holly's skincare supplements. I'm wondering, will Marlena feel compelled to bring this to the judge? After all, keeping secrets from Brady has weighed heavily on her before. Maybe this time she'll be honest. Meanwhile, Rachel and Kristen are bracing for the courtroom. Belle is in their corner, trying to make sure Rachel never has to go back to Bayview. Kristen, ever the protective mother, gives Rachel a pep talk, framing the upcoming hearing as a formality. But is it really that simple? Kristen's own actions, lying to protect her daughter, could come back to haunt them both. I can't help but think, will the judge show leniency? Or are mother and daughter in deeper trouble than they realize? On another front, Ari's life is awkwardly intertwined with Liam Saleko. He's still in her dorm room, which makes for some tense dynamics, especially after Gabi dropped by unexpectedly. Liam even told a few white lies to keep Ari interested. But now, Ari might have some good news. Her roommate is returning, thanks to Holly figuring out what was really going on. For Ari, that's a relief. But for Liam, it might finally give him a graceful exit. He enjoys being around Ari, but how long can he really stay under her roof without things getting complicated? To me, it feels like this Wednesday is one of those episodes where everyone's choices collide, secrets unravel, and Marlena might have to face a moral decision that could change everything for Rachel and for herself. Fans of Days of Our Lives are saying goodbye to Marissa Reyes as Ariana Horton this week. After nearly a year lighting up Salem, Reyes is stepping away from the role and from the town she's called home on screen. She shared her heartfelt farewell on social media, giving fans a glimpse into her decision and her memories from the show. On March 23rd, Reyes took to Instagram to mark her final episode, posting photos and videos from her wrap day. It has been an absolute honor to be a part of such a legacy, and I am overwhelmed with gratitude for what this opportunity has taught and given me, she wrote. Although it was my choice, and mine alone, to make my exit from the show, I will always look back on this chapter with complete and honest gratitude and affection. It's bittersweet to see the end of this chapter, but I am over the moon excited to welcome in the next. Here's to what's coming! What strikes me is how much Reyes emphasizes both gratitude and excitement. You can tell she's leaving on her own terms, but also that she genuinely cherishes the time Ariana Horton allowed her to spend in Salem. To me, that balance of bittersweet farewell and anticipation for what's next feels very real, like she's closing a door without regret. Her co-star and on-screen BFF, Ashley Puzimis, who played Holly Jonas, left a touching comment. "My soul sister for life now. The best thing this show brought me was our friendship, and you truly are a star. Cheering you on for everything that will come your way." I love that. Sometimes the magic of a soap isn't just the drama on screen, it's the friendships behind the scenes. Other days, stars joined in, including Peyton Meyer, Daniel Feuerriegel, Abigail Klein, and Cherie Jimenez. Even Hank Northrup, who plays Liam Saleko and was briefly paired with Ari on screen, shared his well wishes. "Marissa, you bring sunshine into every room, and it was an absolute privilege and joy to work with you. I already know you're a superstar, but I can't wait to see what the future holds for you. Ari plus Liam." I was really struck by how warmly everyone responded. It feels like Reyes truly made an impact in a short time. Story-wise, Ariana's exit leaves some drama in the air. She's been hiding Liam after he was grazed by a bullet, and their chemistry is undeniable. Gabi even noted Liam seemed a little older for Ari. Given Ari has a son, maybe she's right. It's one of those classic soap dynamics: love, danger, and a touch of generational tension. A new actress will step into Ariana's shoes in April, though Days hasn't announced the casting yet. I'm curious to see how the character evolves with a fresh face, and how Ari and Liam's story will continue. One thing's for sure, the drama doesn't stop just because the actor leaves. It looks like Days of Our Lives might be teasing another final curtain for Vivian Alamain. But knowing this show, did Madame Vivian really kick the bucket this time? Or are we being played again? Here's the setup. Dmitry von Lochner Demera is suspected of kidnapping both Vivian and her loyal manservant, Ivan Marius. Then, out of nowhere, Vivian goes from missing to having a death certificate filed in her home country of Alemania. And yes, we've even seen her gravestone with flowers. But here's the question. Are Rafe Hernandez, Jada Hunter, the viewers, and even the ISA being misled already? ISA agent Andrew Donovan isn't buying the "Vivian just disappeared" story. He suspects foul play and made it clear to Dmitry that he's the prime suspect, especially given their history and Dmitry's presence in Alemania at the time. Of course, Dmitry is already on the run, suspected of kidnapping E.J. Demera and others, so now his problems just keep piling up. Interestingly, Dmitry got some temporary relief when Andrew was able to exonerate him in the Demera kidnapping case. Thanks to Dmitry finding the house on Zillow where the hostages were kept, Andrew was able to match DNA and fingerprints to substantiate Dmitry's story. But now, Vivian's disappearance and her supposed death is putting him right back in the hot seat. Meanwhile, Dmitry's partner in crime, Leo Stark, is back in Salem, recovering from a concussion Dmitry inadvertently gave him while avoiding a sniper. Once Leo is fully healed, he might actually shed some light on Vivian's disappearance. He was last seen at Stefan Demera's grave, keeping lookout while in his unforgettable drag queen funeral attire. And while he was there, a mysterious figure was either digging or desecrating a grave nearby. So, what really happened to Vivian and Ivan? Is she really dead this time? And was Ivan just collateral damage if she is? Let's not forget, Vivian has practically made a career out of fake deaths. Back in 2018, she was shot in a struggle with Kate Roberts and pronounced dead, only to be revived thanks to a mysterious doctor connected to the legendary Dr. Wilhelm Rolf. Vivian literally woke up in a morgue. Fast forward to 2020, she tried to shoot Lonnie Price at her wedding, then faked a fatal heart attack while in police custody. Thanks to some help from Yvonne, she escaped jail and resurfaced alive yet again. This is classic Vivian. She's the queen of the fake-out. Over the years, she's either been revived by Dr. Rolf's resurrection serum, staged fake medical events, or relied on Ivan's unwavering loyalty. Death seems to be more of a suggestion for Vivian Alamain rather than an actual rule. So, to me, if Days of Our Lives is showing us a death certificate and a gravestone, I'd take it with a giant grain of salt. If history is any guide, Vivian's next death could just be another one of her spectacular returns. So, here's the thing. I'm not convinced Vivian is actually dead this time. Honestly, there are just too many loose threads pointing to another classic Vivian twist. Think about it. Last week, EJ and Rita were definitely up to something secretive, something shady. And it really looked like EJ wanted his loyal right-hand woman Rita to permanently deal with Vivian. After all, EJ and Vivian have never exactly been on friendly terms. With all the ongoing investigations, EJ's kidnapping, the other Demeras, and Dmitry, it wouldn't surprise me at all if EJ orchestrated a cement shoes situation for Vivian and Yvonne, with Rita assigned to walk them off the nearest Alemanian pier. I mean, this is Days of Our Lives logic. If there's a lake, a crypt, or a suspiciously empty grave, it's fair game. Picture this. Vivian visiting Stefan and Jake Demera's graves, only to be ambushed. Maybe Ivan is with her. Perhaps they're buried alive next to Stefan. The irony would be delicious. Vivian, the queen of burying people alive, gets a taste of her own medicine. And that bouquet that recently appeared on the fresh grave beneath her headstone, is that Rita leaving a clue, or someone else hinting that this is all smoke and mirrors? Could Vivian and Ivan actually be sealed up in the Demera crypt, alive and plotting their next move? EJ seems convinced Vivian helped Peter Blake with the kidnappings, but we know Gwen Rizchesh was trying to frame Dmitry. EJ isn't thrilled about Gwen's revenge plot. It almost jeopardized his secret lab. And that's where Vivian's cunning comes in. Maybe she faked her death to avoid the fallout, knowing the ISA and the FBI were closing in on her. Maybe Ivan helped too. A fake grave, a forged death certificate, a little extra misdirection. Perfectly on brand for Vivian. And honestly, It's not just about hiding from authorities. Vivian knows people are piecing together Stefan's captivity before his alleged death. So maybe he's alive too, hidden somewhere, while Vivian waits for the perfect moment to strike again. You know how Days plays it? Timing is everything, and nothing is ever permanent. But of course, the writers could go even darker. Maybe Leo or Dimitri discover Vivian's scheme and seek revenge. Or maybe someone else, someone she betrayed, finally catches up to her. And yes, there's still a chance she really could be dead, poisoned, buried alive, taken out by someone close. Anything's possible. Here's a wild idea. What if Stefan turned the tables on Vivian and Ivan at the cemetery? Maybe he pulled a page from her own playbook, buried her alive, slow poison, sealed tomb, the works. Karma, considering Vivian orchestrated the Daimares' crypt situation and buried Carly Manning alive. Would Stefan do it? Maybe. She did forge his divorce papers to Gabi Hernandez and had Ivan kidnap him, lock him in Alemania, and hold him until his supposed death. And about Stefan's coffin, yes, the DNA matched his. But don't forget his twin, Jake, who died during a mugging a few years ago. Vivian could have had a servant switch the remains. Classic soap move. So what do I think? Is Vivian really gone this time? Or did she fake another death? Did someone else fake it for her, keeping her under lock and key somewhere? Personally, I don't think we've seen the last of Madame Vivian. Something tells me she's lurking in the shadows, waiting for her next masterpiece of chaos. Here's my take on Days of Our Lives for Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. I think Salem is about to throw everyone for a loop again. Honestly, things have been intense lately. Between Stephanie's kidnapping and EJ stirring up chaos, it feels like the town can't catch a break. Right now, all eyes are on Marlena. I was wondering just how shocking her next discovery will be. It seems like the kind of revelation that could shake everything around her. Will it involve her family? Or is EJ somehow at the center again? Either way, I get the sense it's going to be dark. Speaking of EJ, I think Sarah is finally reaching her limit. She's never been one to sit quietly while he controls the hospital, and now she's ready to speak her mind. When she confronts him, I can totally see things getting heated. She's got a lot bottled up, and he's about to hear it all. Meanwhile, Rachel and Kristen are in a tense spot. Kristen is trying to prepare her daughter for the fallout from EJ's shooting, and Rachel's honesty could come at a huge cost. I didn't realize just how risky telling the truth could be. Bayview looms as a real possibility. Still, I hope things don't go that far. Elsewhere, Ari has some good news for Liam, though it's not clear yet what that might be. And then there's Leo and Gwen, whose insults seem endless. Some things really never change in Salem. So, that's the vibe for March 25th. From Marlena's chilling discovery to Sarah finally calling out EJ, it's shaping up to be another dramatic day. I'm curious to see how all these storylines collide. It feels like Salem is ready to explode again. If you want, I can also rewrite this as a snappy, punchy YouTube-ready narration that flows like a true Days of Our Lives documentary segment. Do you want me to do that? Jeremy finally arrives home, and Julie is over the moon. He's alive, exonerated, and back in Salem. She wraps him in a long, emotional hug and tells him how proud she is. When she asks if he plans to stay in town, Jeremy hesitates, saying he isn't ready to say goodbye just yet. Julie can barely contain her excitement. Finally, everyone who doubted him will have to eat crow. She admits that she herself questioned him after learning he had fled the police, and she feels awful for it. Jeremy, with a shrug, reminds her that even his own father doubted him. Meanwhile, Stephanie wakes up in her hospital room from a nightmare about Jeremy and the kidnapping, only to find EJ looming at her bedside. He's apologetic, explaining he offered a sizable reward for her return and had no idea what was happening, even though Dr. Rolfe clearly knew she and Jeremy were being held hostage. EJ insists he was in the dark, suggesting that Dr. Rolfe fled after bungling his plans by bringing Owen Kent into the mix. He promises to share any information he has with the police. Stephanie listens skeptically, but EJ doubles down. Before things escalate, Alex arrives and tells EJ to leave. Later, EJ texts from Rita, summoning him home immediately. Stephanie fills Alex in on EJ's visit. She wants to believe him, but the memory of past betrayals makes her cautious. EJ had brought her ring, and when Alex tries to place it on her finger, she recoils, not because of the ring, but because it reminds her of Owen forcibly taking it. Alex is devastated, desperate to make things right, but Stephanie knows she needs time to heal. Once Alex leaves for coffee, Jeremy arrives, and Stephanie is grateful. They are the only two who truly understand what they've been through. At her bedside, they talk, first about his thumb, then about the pain and chaos he endured. Jeremy admits he probably deserved some of the backlash from the town, but Stephanie insists he's changed and that he was essential in surviving the ordeal. Unbeknownst to them, Alex listens quietly at the door. Elsewhere, Leo is at University Hospital with Kayla, undergoing a concussion exam. Disoriented and emotionally raw, he's clearly not ready for police questioning. Marlena arrives and comforts him with a hug. They discuss the mess with Dimitri, Alemania, and his tangled emotions. Leo recounts how Andrew and Paul are trying to pin Vivian's disappearance on Dimitri, and how he's conflicted about trusting Dimitri even though he saved his life. He also opens up about Javi, his almost husband, and the heartbreak he feels. Switching gears, Marlena gently questions why Leo went to Alemania. He admits he wanted to protect Dimitri and was haunted by guilt over his past love. He worries his relationship with Javi is over. Marlena reassures him, praising his bravery with his emotions, and reminds him that love always finds a way. Exhausted, Leo finally closes his eyes, letting himself rest. At the small bar, Rafe meets Kat to discuss the latest developments. With a bolo out on Dr. Rolfe and a search warrant for EJ's phone records, Kat recalls the suspicious shoes found in the Dimera tunnels. They agree to get a warrant to investigate further. Kat suspects EJ might genuinely have been unaware of Stephanie and Jeremy's captivity, though Rafe wonders if she's just under his spell. Kat insists she's focused on the job and has no romantic interest in EJ, despite the lingering tension from their kiss. EJ, back at the mansion, calls Paulina furious about the requested search warrant on his secret tunnels. Using his signature intimidation, he threatens to expose her unless she squashes the warrant. Kat arrives shortly after, and EJ wants to revisit their kiss. Flustered, Kat says she isn't ready for anything romantic. EJ accepts this gracefully, expressing his attraction but leaving the pace in her hands. They pivot to work, discussing the mysterious pod and its intended purpose, though EJ remains tight-lipped about specifics. When Paulina texts that the warrant has been nixed, the tension eases slightly. Later, Abe finds Paulina distressed. She deflects, claiming she's preoccupied with the previous night's shooting, and quickly excuses herself after a brief mention of Liam. When she returns, she urges Abe to take the day for each other, but he insists he needs to be at the cemetery with Lexi for their wedding anniversary. Rafe heads to the station to see Jada, but receives a call from Andrew. A death certificate has been filed in Alemania for Vivian, heart failure listed as the cause. As they digest the news, an officer reports that the search warrant was denied due to insufficient evidence.